Well, welcome everybody. And to those that are listening online in the future. Abba Yahweh, we just love you so much. And we exalt you. And we want to declare your great name. That you are our authority in our lives. And today's new song from the ancient text is from Lamentations 3:21 to 26. And I encourage you in your spare time to read all of Lamentations and know that that was Jeremiah having a conversation with the Most High, but just getting the context of that. And a little refresher, last week we were talking about a word in Hebrew that's kavah, which is like eagerly waiting, expectant waiting. So when you see that word wait, it's like an expectant, eager wait. And as far as enduring, I mean, this is why we're enduring through any challenges that we're going through as Yahweh is testing us in our lives. Don't fail the test. Ask Him for strength to get through it. You know, and He is faithful. And that word faithfulness there, when it says great is your faithfulness, we know this Lamentation is a very well-known passage of scripture. But faithfulness is about that certainty. Like we are so certain of who He is. And that He is certain. Like we can just stand on that. And just continue to seek Him. This will I lay up in my heart. Therefore I will endure. It is the mercies of Yahweh that He has not failed me, because His compassions are not exhausted. Because His compassions are not exhausted. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Yahweh is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will wait for Him. Yahweh is good to them that wait for Him. So we shall seek Him is good and shall wait for and quietly expect salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh. Salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh. This will I lay up in my heart, therefore will I endure. It is the mercies of Yahweh that He's not failed me, because His compassions are not exhausted. Not exhausted. Piteous, oh Yahweh, early every month, but we are not brought to an end, because His compassions are not exhausted. Not exhausted. This will I lay up in my heart, therefore will I endure. It is the mercies of Yahweh that He's not failed me, because His compassions are not exhausted. Not exhausted. Piteous, oh Salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh, salvation of Yahweh. Let's sing it one more time. This will I lay up in my heart, therefore will I endure. It is the mercies of Yahweh that He's not failed me, because His compassions are not exhausted. praise your holy name and we bless you with all that's within us, Abba Yahweh. With our attitude, with our whole being, we just want to worship you. We want to honor you. We want to emanate your truth. We want to live it out for those to see us. Don't be shy, you're brothers. Oh Yahweh, our Yahweh, wonderful is your name. Oh Yahweh, our Yahweh, wonderful is your name. Oh Yahweh, our Yahweh, wonderful is your name. Oh Yahweh, way, no matter what doesn't come our way, yet I will. Though the fig tree bears no fruit, on the vines there's no produce, no olives, no food in the field at all, no sheep or oxen in pasture installed, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, yet I will. Though the fig tree bears no fruit, on the vines there's no produce, no olives, no food in the field at all, no sheep or oxen, pasture and stall, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, yet I will. I will joy in the authority of your salvation. Yahweh Elohim is my strength. I will joy in the authority of your salvation. Yahweh Elohim is my strength. Though the fig tree bears no fruit, on the vines there's no produce, no olives, no food in the field at all, no sheep or oxen in pasture and stall, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, yet I will exalt in Yahweh, and I will. I will joy in the authority of your salvation. Yahweh Elohim is my strength. I will joy in the authority of your salvation. Yahweh Elohim is my strength. He will perfectly strengthen my speed. Upon high places he mounts me. He makes me to walk on high hills. He will perfectly strengthen my feet. Upon high places he mounts me. He makes me to walk on high hills. That I may conquer by his song. That I may conquer by praising your holy name. I may conquer by worshiping you, Abba Yah. We praise you no matter what. You will always be our authority. We declare that in our lives, no matter what tests you allow to happen, no matter what you even allow the enemy to do. We want to live and walk in your truth and obey it. And just praise you all along the way, even if we don't understand everything. circumstances to you. I am lifting up my soul to you. I have lifted up my soul, oh Yahweh, to you. I have lifted up my soul. From the top, lead me. Yes, Father Yahweh, we just thank you for this time that we can just continue to go deeper in your truth. And we know that starting from the beginning are layers and patterns of things that have happened, are happening, and will be yet to come. And so just may our spiritual eyes be opened, our spiritual ears be opened, our hearts opened, that we are ready and that we are watchful and that we are hungering and thirsting for more of you, to be in right standing and righteous, being obedient to your truth in these last days. And everybody said, Amen.
Thank you, Davene, for leading us in praise to our Elohim, and a pleasant and wonderful welcoming good night to everyone on this 10th day of February 2020, where we are in the TeamD scripture study, discussing Yahweh's Elohim's words with no filter. And that's very important.
No filters.
Yeah,
Raw to the core.
Yes, this is a filter-free zone where his words matter and not the doctrines of men. So we are not interested in men's doctrines. We are interested in what the words say and verifying those words as we dig deep into everything that comes from his mouth. So as a reminder, this study is about equipping you so that you can go and do further research on your own. It is not to change your religion. We are not interested in doing that. We are not here to be any sort of leader over you. So that's not our intent.
But we will try our best humbly to be an example to you.
We are here to provide information that would help you to, see things as it should be. We do not want you to take our words for anything. Please go and look into everything that we are saying. We are providing a lot of links so that you can go and verify.
And go deeper. Take it even further than today.
And you should be continuing to connect the dots as we are now in 26. Everything from 1 up to this point has to be connected because it's seamless. And lastly, we always must have respect for each other. We are not going to agree on everything, but I'm not here to tell you or call you names or anything like that. I will respect your point of view. And that's how we should be doing it and not hating on each other. So now we are still in 26, Genesis 26, and this is part 2 of the study, and it is Stay Put Isaac. So from the headlines, we have rights, and that's a question.
You can talk in the mic, Okay. From defeat to talks. Another speed bump in getting land rights recognized. In the last study, the call was to get educated on land rights, as Canada's Natural Observer reported on the fight between First Nations people of British Columbia, Canada, and the Canadian federal government locked horns over land rights. On the one side, we have Canada's economic optimism with oil, and the First Nations' historical rights and traditions. On February 4th, as reported by Global News Canada, the federal appeals courts ruled in the favor of the federal government. Federal court dismisses Indigenous challenge of Trans Mountain pipeline expansions. By staff, the Canadian Press, posted February 4, 2020, 11:11 a.m.
The Federal Court of Appeal sees the government's decision to approve the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion a second time is reasonable and will stand. In a unanimous 3-0 decision Tuesday, the court dismissed 4 challenges to the approval launched last summer by First Nations in British Columbia. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney said he was, in quotes, delighted by the decision, saying it showed the project is, in quotes, overwhelmingly supported by Indigenous communities across Western Canada. This is a victory for common sense and the rule of law, Kenney said Tuesday. While we respect the opinion of those who have voiced opposition to the project, the fact is the majority of First Nation communities and the majority of Canadians want to share in the economic benefits of responsible resource development.
Not all the First Nation tribes are in opposition to the land rights fight, but enough are disgruntled to challenge the project in court. all may not be lost, as the federal finance minister is reaching out to the dissatisfied side to come to a consensus. And this article is Trans Mountain Pipeline Indigenous Government Ownership Talks launched by federal government. Posted February 10th. Finance Minister Bill Morneau says the federal government is launching a new set of consultations with Indigenous groups that will determine if and how they might take part in ownership of the Trans Mountain Pipeline and its expansion project. Speaking in Calgary, the minister says up to 129 communities will be consulted over the next weeks and months to ensure they have a chance for meaningful economic participation in the pipeline. He says the groups will be asked their level of support for equity-based or revenue-sharing options, as well as whether groups are willing to work with each other through existing or new organizations. In a speech, the minister welcomed a federal Court of Appeal ruling last week that set aside a challenge of the Trans Mountain expansion project by 4 BC First Nations, noting the project is important to the economic well-being of the West.
The court action is more complex than First Nations peoples challenging the construction of a pipeline. Historical grievances are also spilling over, colliding with economic progress, but the olive branch from the government may soothe the wounds. Let us look forward to the day when each man, with his family, can sit under their fig tree and enjoy the fruits of their labor upon the land given to them by YHWH Elohim.
And that is a prophecy referenced in Zechariah.
Amen. So that still connects to our study, and it also connects to the previous study that we did about who owns the land and the authority of the land as it relates to Abimelech and Isaac. So now we are continuing in part 2 from Genesis 26, verse 18.
And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he called their names after the names by which his father had called them.
So Isaac is engaging in civil engineering works. Isaac is managing civil engineering projects. The wells that were available to him when his father was alive is no longer accessible. At the end of part 1 of this study, and the last topic was full circle, the breaking of the agreement between Abraham and Abimelech was mentioned.
Say that 10 times.
So this is the excerpt from that section, TeamD, Genesis 26, part 1. The deal with Abraham is broken. There are agreements that has, in quotes, a grandfather clause embedded into them as one party dies. Other deals come to an abrupt end. So that's how we ended last week.
Isaac is digging wells again because the Philistines thought it prudent to seal them after the death of Abraham. Knowing that Abraham is deceased at this moment not only puts the focus on Isaac, but his sons too. As mentioned in past studies, water is a precious commodity in any condition. The Philistines, being aware of the necessity for water, were inconsiderate of their actions and maybe trying to leverage their power over Isaac. Isaac is no slouch, though. He rolled up his sleeves and began water engineering works projects to keep his household satisfied with the necessary life-giving water. Every well that he dug, the name that his father attributed to each, Isaac continued with the convention. Doing this, Isaac memorialized his father and the struggles he faced with the Philistines prior.
So Isaac is rolling up his sleeves and getting dirty. He's not a lazy man, and us men should not be lazy. We should, get to work. So verse 19 and 20 of 26.
And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, "The water is ours." And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him.
Eking out an existence. The Philistines on the one side, and maybe other tribal nomadic peoples in the land of Gerar. Water resources is a precious commodity. Each group would have persons and livestock needing life-giving water. Isaac's servant or servants struck water, and before he and his household could savor the liquid substance, people were all up in his business. "Isaac, you can't have that water, ours."
That's
That's
TNT language?
Yep. So because the scarcity of water in a famine, conflict is inevitable between tribes. And we spoke about that back in Genesis 21, part 2. In this situation, what is Isaac and his servants to do? Where is YHWH Elohim in all of this? He is not seeing the situation with Isaac, whom he instructed to stay in the land. Why don't he, YHWH, not come to Isaac's defense? and Esek means contention.
No one is immune to the issues of life. Though our problems are not on the scale as Isaac, it seems when a commitment is made to honor the ways of YHWH Elohim, things seem to veer off the rails. Relationship, financial, health, etc. seems to become amplified compared to the person who does not consider their ways. Even King David had struggles. He poured his heart out in many psalms to YHWH Elohim.
And here is one example of King David pouring out his heart because of challenges. So this is from Psalm chapter 10. It's chapter 11 in the Masoretic, verse 1 to 3.
For the end, a psalm of David. In YHWH I've put my trust. How will you say to my soul, flee to the mountains as a sparrow? For behold, the sinners have bent their bow. They have prepared their arrows for the quiver to shoot privily at the upright in heart. For they have pulled down what you did frame. But what has the righteous done?
So Isaac must have been feeling the same way because he's, trying to do what is right, and he's being challenged by a lot of people in his endeavors. So no one is immune from this sort of situation happening in their lives. So we must always keep calm and trust in Yah.
We need to pour out our heart to YHWH Elohim in prayer and praise. Also, we should not compare ourselves to those whom we think are doing better than us. Our focus is to endure and wait for salvation to come. And while we are enduring, as like-minded believers, encouragement goes a long way.
YHWH Elohim has his eyes on the situation. As men, conflict will arise. We believe that YHWH Elohim uses those moments for men to build character. Isaac is being built up, and YHWH Elohim would intervene if the circumstance changes and Isaac's life is threatened. But why does it seem that trouble comes when you are doing your best to serve YHWH Elohim? Verse 21 to 23.
I think it's just 21.
Oh,
just 23.
Yeah.
Okay. And they digged another well and strove for that also, and he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well, and for that they strove not, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now YHWH has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba.
Trials in sojourning. Isaac continues with the civil engineering works and struck water again. The herdsmen came at him again, and he abandoned the precious water after another successful dig. There is water in the land. One must work to get it. The men of this land are lazy and would rather use bullying than put in the work. Isaac is no lazy bones. He is an intelligent man and moves on to the next well project. They struck water again, and no one came at him for it. YHWH Elohim was with Isaac through the entire ordeal. This was a test for Isaac in two ways.
Number one, is he going to be obedient to stay put even if adversity comes along? The temptation to drop everything and move to greener pastures would have been an option for Isaac.
Because why stay in a land filled with famine when I can go somewhere where the, going is easier? So this is one of the tests he was being tested upon. 2,
to build the character of Isaac as a man, men need to learn how to handle business and manage conflict. We may think Isaac did the coward thing to give up viable wells, but he lived to fight another day. Isaac chose the mountain to die upon, and it wasn't for a well of water. He had the expertise to find viable locations for water.
And that he did, and he was successful with finding that water. So as long as Yah is on your side, who is going to work against you? So Sitnah means strife, and Rehoboth means wide places or streets. And that word should be familiar to some people because it's used in reference a lot in the prophets, especially about Israel in the wide places. So the trials in sojourning still continues.
And Isaac relocated again. He is truly a sojourner in the land as his household is moved to ensure the survival of the many mouths that depend on him. Hopefully Isaac has broad shoulders to bear this tremendous responsibility. Like with Abraham and Lot, both men could not live in the same spot because the land could sustain them both. One had to move to ensure the survival of their respective household and avoid strife. In Isaac's situation, his contention is with the people of the land. Their attitude towards him changed, but Isaac manned up and kept the momentum going.
The question to be asked is, how is his household coping at this moment? And that's a valid question to ask, because when you have challenging situations being faced and you're constantly moving, how am I, as one of the people in this household, going to be affected by it? And it's a very valid question to ask, because even though it's silent, I'm sure many people are affected by all the happenings with Isaac and getting water for everyone. So we're in verses 24 and 25.
And Yahweh appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and will bless you, and will multiply your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there, and called upon the name of Yahweh, and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants digged a well.
This is called flying colors, so keep calm and pass with flying colors. That's what we need to do. From a religious perspective, there is an expectation that YHWH Elohim is going to open the floodgates of blessings once we accept Jesus or Yeshua into our hearts. Disappointment steps in when the struggles get great and we are not seeing results. As the adversary aptly stated about Job, and this is a quote from Job 1:9.
Then the adversary answered Yahweh and said, Does Job fear God for nothing?
And that's a valid question to ask us. Do we fear him for nothing? He gives, he takes away. And even when the challenges come, that doesn't mean to say he's not there. He is, but we have to keep, pressing him like that parable about the judge and the person. If the woman had stopped, tugging at the judge, she would not have gotten the result she was looking for. So we have to always keep, at Yah. And for good reason too, because if we get lazy, foolish things steps in. So we always have to be constantly at it with Yah. That's how I look at it.
We know it's not based on feelings. We already know that.
Yeah. So Job was tested and found righteous. So too Isaac. He was tested in the situation, and he showed YHWH Elohim that he is faithful to his instructions. And we learned the last time it's instructions, but they say law.
Yeah, Torah should be translated instructions.
Both Job and Isaac passed their respective tests with flying colors. Both men received a visitation from YHWH Elohim after they overcame their trials.
Yahweh Elohim appears to Isaac and reaffirmed his commitment to him on account of his father Abraham. This is a big deal, as Isaac listened to the voice of Yahweh Elohim and not men. He, Isaac, was diligent to keep the instruction of Yahweh Elohim, and strived.
Oh, that should be he strived.
And he strived with the men of the land and prevailed. The move is to his new location as water is found, and now no longer in the lands of his adversaries. Isaac did something significant at this moment. He built an altar, likely sacrificed a thank offering, and called upon the name of Yahweh.
We saw that with Abraham. Abraham also did the same. So Isaac is following the same pattern as his father. So he's not making things up as he go. He is following instructions as it was given to him. So again, keep calm and pass with flying colors.
Additionally, if Job, Isaac, and many righteous men have been tested by Yahweh Elohim, it should not be any different with those of us choosing to walk in his ways. As it was shown to the Anointed One, this world is in the hands of the enemies of Yahweh.
And this is the quote from Matthew 4:8-9. Again, the devil taketh him up.
The adversary.
Yep. Taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. And saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. So, what is it for a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? No profit in that, but the Anointed One prevailed.
We are not to bend the knee to the kingdoms of the world and their standards. The Anointed One did not concede, and neither did Isaac, both being two unique, beloved sons of their respected fathers. And once again, this is a very, very big paradigm shift. Monogenous, the Genesis 22 study. There is new scholarship on this, rendering the old definition of them meaning obsolete. That goes into detail in that study there. We send you the link for that. Very good to look up. The world and its values are going to test the true believers of Yahweh Elohim. We are not to give an inch or concede to its values and demands. He brought Noah through a flood. He preserved the righteous of his possession through every trial, and also would see us through once we do our part to pass the test with flying colors.
Amen. So we are in verse 26 now.
And Abimelech came to him from Gerar, and so did Achosath, his friend, and Philcol, the commander-in-chief of his army.
A meeting of men, and that's an artist's impression of Isaac overseeing the well construction as he sojourned in the land. After settling in Gerar to wait out the famine with his family and the many other souls under the tent, Isaac moved because of ill-intentioned men. The moving would have affected much in his house. We saw how Abimelech and the people, the Philistines, of the land changed towards him, and it was prudent to move on. Back in Genesis 21, verse 22, Abimelech and Abraham had a sit-down about wells, as the same situation occurred prior. It was observed that between the Septuagint LLX, LXX, and the Masoretic text, there is an extra participant that only one text mentioned. After referencing extra biblical sources, the book of Jubilees sided with the Septuagint and Joshua with the Masoretic. And in that study, we went through why one should be considered more than the other, and we showed that the book of Joshua, which a lot of people are referencing, is rabbinic midrash.
It is not considered inspired from a scholarship viewpoint, and that's very important.
And I would advise anyone, if you're referencing it, approach with caution and make sure everything synchronizes as it should.
Abimelech had a change of heart and decided to pay Isaac a visit. After all, he was on good terms with both his father and mother. This encounter with Isaac, both the Septuagint and Masoretic, are consistent with all participants, including the mysterious Achosath.
And his name means possession, which I found very interesting. These men left their location in Gerar and went to Isaac. They are now entering into his domain where they would be subject to his authority. And that's very important. When somebody steps into your roof, they are under your authority and you are required to do certain things where that authority is concerned. So verse 27 to 30.
And Isaac said unto them, Wherefore come you to me, seeing you hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that Yahweh was with you. And we said, Let there be now an oath between us, even between us, let me just say it, even betwixt us and you, and make us a covenant with you, that you will do us no hurt, as we have not touched you, and as we have done unto you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of Yahweh. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink.
You hate me, bro. Isaac speaks up. And that's two brothers in a bed. Why do you hate me, brother? Oh my gosh. Isaac speaks up. A coward would not be scared to speak up.
That was random.
Okay, you're making me lose my place. Okay. Serious face now. Okay.
And just for those that were listening online, my cat came in for a visit for the study, so.
So Isaac speaks up. A coward would not be scared to speak up and out in the face of his enemy. Isaac let it be known that because of their hate, he had to kick rocks and move on. Denying him access to water was a threat to his life and that of his household. Abimelech was not thinking straight when he took the action to stop the wells and giving Isaac the boot. What could have changed his mind apart from seeing the blessings of YHWH Elohim upon Isaac? His desires to have a covenant with Isaac of, in quotes, no harm. Isaac, being like his father, showed the men hospitality and lavished them with a meal to show, in quotes, no hard feelings. And this is from Proverbs 25, 21 to 22.
If your enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For so doing, you shall heap coals of fire upon his head, and Yahweh shall reward you with good.
So Isaac is doing the right thing here. You don't have to pick a fight when a fight is not necessary. And being hospitable to your enemies sometimes put you in an advantageous position. So Isaac is doing things the right way here. Why not show hospitality? Isaac had nothing to lose as he is following the instructions of YHWH Elohim, which his enemy sees the results. And the results is favor. They see the prosperity. Look at Isaac. Look at how much stuff he has. We want some of that stuff too. So that's their attitude as they see him prosper. So we are taking a little rabbit trail here. We are getting into the Philistines a little bit more because I think it's important to get some background into who these people worship.
And they are big, there's some heavy hitters in end time prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you hit me, bro. Minor rabbit trail.
There's a prolonged famine in the land. Isaac is thriving in spite of the heavy hand of the Philistines. How does that work? The Philistines might be wondering. Abimelech and company are seeing Isaac making strides and probably thinking to themselves, where in the bleepity bleep is my God? And after all we've done to this man, all we've done to him, he's still standing strong. When you stand upon the rock, Yahweh, you will always stand strong. Amen.
And that parable about the rock and the sand, you know, those who build their house upon the rock, it's going to be strong. It's talking about Yah. That's a whole other discussion and a whole other lesson by itself. But when you see rock, it's Yah it's talking about. So let's keep moving. So this is, what about the God or gods of the Philistines? And this is from 1 Samuel 5, 1-5.
And the Philistines took the ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer to Azotus. And the Philistines took the ark of Yahweh and brought it into the house of D.A.G.O.N. and set it by D.A.G.O.N. And the people of Azotus rose early and entered into the house of D.A.G.O.N. and looked, and behold, D.A.G.O.N. had fallen on his face before the ark of Yahweh.
No, stop here. Whenever I read certain passages in Samuels and Kings, it makes me laugh. And the first time I ever read this, it made me laugh just to see how, it looked humorous that this idol is bowing down to Yah. It had no choice in the presence of the ark.
And they lifted up Dagon and set him in his place. And the hand of Yahweh was heavy upon the Azodians, and he plagued them, and he smote them in their secret parts. That's not good. Azotus and her coasts. And it came to pass when they rose early in the morning, behold, Dagon had fallen on his face before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off, each before the threshold, and both the wrists of his hand had fallen on the floor of the porch. Only the stump of Dagon was left. Therefore the priests of Dagon and everyone that enters into the house of Dagon do not tread upon the threshold of the house of Dagon and in Azotus until this day, for they step over.
So the main principal god of the Philistines is Dagon. And please pay attention to everything you see here in this image, off to the left. To the right, sorry. And as we have mentioned before, it is believed that the Philistines are the infamous sea people that they're still trying to figure out, and we discussed that ad nauseum in previous studies. So we are continuing on.
The Philistines' chief god is Dagon, and his image acknowledged the one true God and met a hilarious end in his temple of worship. Vestiges of Dagon impression is still lingering in religious ceremony and practices.
So let's look at one of those impressions. The Christian fish symbol. And this is taken from mythology.net. It's on D.A.G.O.N. by Professor Geller, and it was from 2016.
The Jesus fish is a symbol, and it's called Ichthys. Am I saying that right? Ichthys.
Yep, Ichthys.
Which means fish. When written in the Greek alphabet, it's also an acronym for the words Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. Fish symbolism dates back much further than the cross, and it has been theorized that early Christians adopted some symbolism from the ancient pagan Mesopotamians. So it's not new to Christianity. They took it.
But we'll see why it's important to know this.
Yep.
So continuing about the Ichthys from the same article.
The Catholic Pope and bishops wear a tall hat called a mitre, which is shaped similarly to the headdress of Dagon. Some say it represents the head of Dagon with an open mouth, which is why it has a split on top and pointy shape. Some say the reason the Pope wears it is to carry on the tradition of the mitre worn by the very first Pope who knew the secrets of Dagon.
See the similarities with the headdress? That's why I say pay attention.
Yep.
Nothing is new under the sun. They keep recycling it and giving it a new branding. Yep. That's all they have done. Nothing is new.
And this is one example of so many out there.
So many. So that's an image of D.A.G.O.N. And if you'll notice on top of his head is the fleur-de-lis. That symbol have a lot of
ancient pagan
connections to it, and it's also mentioned in Isaiah, but I can't remember when. When I do, I would bring it up. So continuing with You Hate Me, Bro. We are still on that rabbit trail. Your God is weak.
And just FYI, I had some really funky baseball caps that had fleur-de-lis on them, and I got rid of them when I found out what they were. So I was pretty upset because they were really nice.
Yeah, and just another thought. I don't know if I mentioned it in the study here, in the notes, but Dagon is a fish god, and since a lot of people connect the Philistines to being, the sea people, it wouldn't be a far-fetched idea that their god is a fish god, since they're supposed to have originated from the sea. So, starting, the knee-jerk reaction is to dispute the information that was just presented. We have emotional connection to a lot of things. There is more than enough material in support of the origins of these symbols as they predate Christianity.
Let's repeat that. They predate Christianity.
Right. YHWH Elohim explicitly told Israel not to have these things as part of their praise and worship to him. YHWH Elohim has not changed his view on these matters, and nothing should ever be claimed for his kingdom. It is like putting lipstick on a pig. It is still a pig. The Philistines, wherever they came from, brought their God in tow, and it is no match for the Elohim of Abraham. As the Philistines continued living in the land, they became a grief to Israel, including their champion Goliath, who King David made quick work of. And we know Goliath, apart from being a Philistine, was also a Nephilim, him and his brothers. So that's also to keep in mind. As mentioned in the previous study, the Philistines play a part in end-time prophetic fulfillment. Please revisit that study. Also, YHWH Elohim is the greatest, and the Philistines know this.
It didn't just say knew this. They know this because they're still around somewhere.
Somewhere waiting to make an entry.
Yep.
So, you hate me, bro. We are still on the rabbit trail, and this is the last word along this rabbit trail. The fish symbol is also connected to the zodiac sign Pisces, and it was co-opted by early Christians. And this is from Symbol Dictionary, and it's about the Vesica Pisces, and then in bracket the Ixis, Jesus fish, Mandorla.
Okay. This symbol, called the Vesica Pisces, or Jesus fish, has an unusual history. Used almost exclusively today to denote membership in the Christian religion, the symbol once held a very different meaning, even to the early Christians who adopted it. The word usually found inscribed within, ichthys, is Greek meaning fish. The emblem became significant to Christians after St. Augustine,
This is the important part here.
who extracted the word from the acrostic prophecy of the Erythraean Sibyl and applied the Kabbalistic technique of notarikon, acrostic, to the word to reveal Jesus Christ, God's Son, Savior.
No.
So Kabbalistic stuff is a part of rabbinic stuff, messianic stuff. The list goes on.
And it has no right in your praise and worship
Nope,
towards
it's not in Scripture.
Not in Scripture. No way.
Nope.
So you see how things get co-opted without people understanding what it's about. And then he said, don't do these things as the pagans do and do it unto me. It's an abomination. It doesn't matter if you claimed it for the kingdom and you put your blessing over it, it's still bad.
And here's the thing, we don't always know all these things all at once, but when we find out something like this, we have to do something. We have
Obligation and an opportunity.
Yeah, to make a decision to move forward and get rid of something that I've maybe had as a symbol in my life for a very long time, and I find out about it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't have it. It's an abomination to the Most High. So I'd rather be obedient to Him than keep, whether it's a nice hat or whatever, or a necklace or whatever. So it's way more important being obedient.
And this next section is very important because when Davene and I were discussing it, she brought up the argument that, the early Christians used this to denote their identity and to hide and whatever else that was associated.
Hide their identity and sort of expose that they were a believer by doing this. And so I'll just read it because that will give the answer. The custom of early Christians to communicate by drawing a portion in the dust was carried over from the practice of the ancient Pythagoreans, who discovered the shape's unique properties and made it an important part of their teachings. In earlier times, this glyph was associated with the goddess Venus and represented female genitalia. So what believers would do is one would do one side of the fish, and then the other would come along and fill it in, and then they'd be like, "Oh, you're a believer too," So it's like they silently were able to do that.
Looking at this, and you go back to the Jerusalem Council where, Paul, Peter, James.
It's in the book of Acts.
Acts wrote a letter asking those who are of the Gentiles to, do certain things. Where's the disconnection between that and where we are now. And a whole other topic where we could get into what took place, why a lot of these things end up crawling into the faith, and nobody really took the time out to purge these things out because they were not right. Doesn't matter how much you dedicate it still does not make it right.
Early depictions of Christ depict him as an infant within the vesica. In this context, it is usually referred to as a mandorla, meaning almond-shaped, which represented the womb of Mary, and often the coming together of heaven and earth in the body of Jesus, part man, part God. As such, it's also a doorway or portal between worlds and symbolizes the intersection between the heavens and the material plane.
And it goes deeper than that, but this is just the surface, and it's just to show that, don't use this symbol for anything pertaining to you.
Don't take our word for it. Go and dig about it a bit more.
And there's more information out there. The place is flooded with it. I just brought 2 examples from different sources to show it's not fantasy, but it's fact. So we're in verse 33 to 31. So we're back on the
31 to 33.
31 to 33. We're back on the main trail.
And they rose up betimes in the morning and swore to one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they digged, and said unto him, We've found water, and he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba until this day.
The oath between men. This is a lengthy section because I want to tap the loose end from that study when Abraham connected with all these men in their prior meeting. It seems that Abimelech and Isaac swore something to each other. It is not clear, as it is not stated, what are the provisions of the oath. It is certain that the provision ends with Isaac and extends no further. The book of Jubilees provide additional details. And before we get into Jubilees, here is a nice quote from Quincy Adams, the 4th president, or the 6th president of the United States. He took his oath of office on a book of law, not the Bible, not the Constitution, with or without the Bills of Rights. So in other words, he did the smart thing and swore on a stack of legal books, which you can change as you see fit, and he did not compromise his soul by swearing on a Bible. Smart man. So this is from Jubilees 24, so it's from 26b all the way to 33.
And he called the name of that place the Well of the Oath. For there he had sworn to Abimelech and Ahuzath, his friend, and Philco, the prefect or his host. And Isaac knew that day that under constraint he had sworn to them to make peace with them. And Isaac on that day cursed the Philistines and said, Cursed be the Philistines unto the day of wrath and indignation from the midst of all nations. May Elohim make them a derision and a curse and an object of wrath and indignation in the hands of the sinners, the Gentiles, and in the hands of the Kittim.
So just to let you guys know, there is a distinction between who are Gentiles and who are the people of the Kittim. They are 2 different sets of people, a whole other discussion.
And whoever escapes the sword of the enemy and the Kittim, may the righteous nation root out in judgment from under heaven, for they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations upon the earth. And no remnant shall be left to them, nor one that shall be saved on the day of the wrath of judgment. For destruction and rooting out and expulsion from the earth is the whole seed of the Philistines reserved. And there shall no longer be left for these Caphtorim, a name, or seed on the earth. What's Caphtorim?
That's one of the tribes. That's what they're also known as well. And it was covered when we did the Table of Nations back in Genesis 11.
Okay. For though he ascend unto heaven, then shall he be brought down. And though he make himself strong on earth, then shall he be dragged forth. And though he hide himself among the nations, even from thence shall he be rooted out. And though he descend into Sheol, there also shall his condemnation be great. And there also he shall have no peace. And if he go into captivity by the hands of those that seek his life, shall they slay him on the way? And neither name nor seed shall be left to him on all the earth. For into eternal malediction shall he depart. And thus it is written and engraved concerning him on the heavenly tablets, to do unto him on the day of judgment, so that he may be rooted out of the earth.
This section is reminiscent of Amos chapter 9. Whether Isaac uttered these words or not, the Philistines in the end would not meet a favorable outcome, as mentioned in part 1 of this study. So the Philistines will be dealt with by Israel, even though they come to their aid, but that's the ultimate goal when Israel is reunited in the hands of the Messiah. So before we move on, another quote from Justice Thomas. So those who follow American jurisprudence would know who he is. He's one of the senior associates on the U.S. Supreme Court of Justice. I don't know how an oath becomes meaningful unless you have faith, because at the end you say, "So help me God." And a promise to God is different from a promise to anyone else. Another set of wise words. If you are swearing and making an oath, if you know you're going to break it, don't do it, because it's a serious thing that you're doing. So, oath between men, we are continuing.
Water was found as Isaac continued with engineering works. Where was Isaac getting water all this time? When one has favor with YHWH Elohim, the impossible is an everyday occurrence. Water is found. He has a somewhat peace with agreement with Abimelech, and life continues. It should not be lost on us that Isaac has his own water after the peace is made between him and the leading Philistines. With the peace in place, no one can move Isaac, otherwise curses would follow for doing so. A man's word is his bond.
So when you give your word as a man, and when we get to Leviticus, eventually we'll see where a man's word stands. So when you make a promise or you swear an oath to Yah, or to anyone for that matter as a man, be careful how you do it. Nothing is wrong with swearing, as we discovered. The problem is when you don't keep it. So always be wise in what you make an oath to keep. Always be wise. And this is just a little side note about taking oaths. From American perspective, we also discussed this prior. You know, the BA is acronym for British Accreditation Registry. So we should be asking ourselves why American lawyers are taking the BA exam, since they're an independent republic. But that's a whole other kettle of fish to deal with.
That's just really
yeah. So we are in verse 34 and 35.
And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and to Rebekah.
I does what I pleases me. That's what this section is called. And we know Esau does what pleases him. The account of Isaac's circumstances through the famine tells us of his resolve in the face of adversity. Why do the scriptures switch to these moments in Isaac's life? Good question. It seems it was going back instead of progressing forward. Apart from showing the might of Yahuwah through any situation, it also highlights, though not mention, the trials everyone in Isaac's house would have experienced, which includes his two sons, Esau and Jacob. Returning to the sale of the birthright, that was back in Genesis 25:29, and we mentioned Jubilees there as well. That's Genesis 25 part 2. It was in the midst of the famine when Esau sold his birthright to his brother Jacob. Having to endure farming in a harsh land, always moving and being harassed by Philistines, is more than enough to wear anyone out. Isaac was told by YHWH Elohim not to leave the area, and he obeyed the instruction. The uncertainty of the experience could have left Esau with a probable low expectation of the future. Hence, what value is a birthright? In his mind, it would be more valuable to eat another day than to die of starvation. With Isaac finding stability and not doubting YHWH Elohim, everyone is in an excellent space to thrive. Esau is doing the natural thing at his age, 40, which is to get married. Like his father, who got married at age 40, Esau is getting hitched to two women at this time. So I does what I pleases me. There are two issues at hand here.
Polygamy, to be broached when Jacob enters into marriage.
And we had a very lively discussion after the last Bible study, which was not recorded, where someone asked a question by proxy.
On behalf of someone that's present here now.
No, about marriage in terms of having multiple wives. In that of study, there are many things mentioned, which would be highlighted when we get to Jacob because of his situation. So we would look at marriage in full, but who Esau chooses to marry is the bigger situation happening here at the moment. So issue 1 is not a problem with Isaac and Rebekah. Having more than one wife is not a sin, and we will discuss that when we get to it, and everything else associated with it. Issue 2 is what grieves Esau's parents' heart as he chooses to marry women of the land. Abraham did not want Isaac mingling with the women of the area, hence sending to his father's house for a wife for Isaac. Isaac and Rebekah, by extension, would also want the same for their sons. Esau went ahead and did him.
Did what he wanted.
Yep. He was not concerned about the feelings of his parents in this matter, or in the matter. We see a pattern of his attitude beginning with his birthright. So with his birthright, he gave it away. No big deal. Don't need it. Now he gets married. He didn't consider, okay, how would my parents feel about this? Now, even though Esau is 40, we might be saying he's a big man. He's an adult. He can make his own decisions. But this is a culture where everything revolves around the family and the leadership of the family. So our boy Esau is breaking with tradition, and he does what pleases him.
His parents are powerless in the matter, as Esau is an adult making big people decisions. Again, where is YHWH Elohim in this matter? Surely YHWH Elohim is looking on from his abode as life unfolds for everyone. Every decision has consequence. As Esau does him, the effects of his actions would become evident.
So marrying into the Hittite house. So we see Yehudit, Judith, and it means praised, and we'll come to that when we get to Jacob's household. And Beri means my well. And then we have Basemet, and that name means spice, which is very nice, like sugar and spice. And we have Elon, which means terebinth or mighty. So those are the people Esau choose to marry and get involved with. So before we conclude things, let's talk about encouragement for the righteous. Isaac and his family have been through much as they sojourn in the land of promise. No one is immune from trials, but we can trust in YHWH Elohim to see us through, enduring to the end, and hence our new song about enduring to thee. And this is from Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 1 to 9, from the Septuagint.
But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Elohim, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery, and their going from us to be utter destruction. But they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For Elohim proved them, and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace has he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine, and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations, and have dominion over the people. And there YHWH shall reign forever. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. And such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he has care for his elect.
So I know many of us are dealing with all types of challenges, and from your perspective, it's a mountain to climb, and that is understood. But I was heading to work this morning and looked up and saw the moon, and it looked really beautiful in the background of the sky. So I pulled my point and click camera out and took a couple pictures. I was trying to crop out smart technologies, but you know what? Our Elohim is smart, and he positioned the moon to always be faithful in its cycles every month. So that's faithfulness, and that's how our Elohim would always be good to us, by ensuring that everything that he made still functions the way it does, and he would always be there for us no matter what. So we have to trust there's conditions to that. So once we trust in him, like Isaac, like all the other righteous servants of Yah, that's the outcome that you're going to get. So this is the end of the study, from verse 18 to 35. Stay put, Isaac, part 2. Anyone want to have any questions or comments? Well, lovely. So we thank you all for being here, and as we're about to close things off, we ask that our Father's favor, YHWH Elohim, be upon all of us. And for those who listen to this study after, that the information provided would be beneficial to you in learning about his matters and applying it into your life each and every day. And we ask this in the name of our Elohim, YHWH. Amen.
Amen.